Activity 9.10, Classifications of Quadrilaterals. So quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides. There's a bunch of them. The definitions are also in your e-text, and I showed you in 9.9 how to get there. So I went ahead and copied mine down, and then you should take pause and take time to do that. And then for number 2 is you have two statements. You need to circle the one that is true. So let's go ahead. All rhombuses are parallelograms, or all parallelograms are rhombuses. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with four sides. That means all rhombuses are parallelograms because it's in the definition. It is a parallelogram. It's a special parallelogram with four sides. All squares are rectangles, or all rectangles are squares. Well, the definition of a square says that it's a rectangle with four congruent sides. All squares are rectangles. So finish all of number 2, and then we'll move to number 3. Before we get to number 3, I wanted to show you that hierarchy that I mentioned is also very useful. So if you scroll down a little bit past the definition in your e-text, you will find the hierarchy. So let's go to that next. So we're back in the e-text, and this is figure 21. And you'll see polygon, and then we're just talking about triangles and quadrilaterals in these activities. So if you go to the right-hand side for quadrilaterals, you can see things where it moves up or down. Sometimes these are drawn as a nesting picture. So the square is at the bottom there. If I can trace it up, that means I can make an all statement. So all squares are rectangles. All rectangles are parallelograms. All parallelograms are trapezoids. All squares are rhombuses. All rhombuses are kites. All rhombuses are parallelograms. So if you can trace it up, you can make one of these all statements. So I do find this hierarchy to be very beneficial to solve number 2. Okay, so for part 2, we're going to look at those 3 scenarios again of disjoint sets, intersecting sets, and subsets, just like we did with triangles. A says the relationship between rectangles and parallelograms. So if we think about our definitions, a rectangle is a parallelogram with a right angle. That right there is a subset. So here's my rectangle. And you can abbreviate parallelogram to pgram. Then we draw pictures. So we're going to draw a parallelogram that is not a rectangle, and then a rectangle that is a parallelogram, but it has that 90-degree angle. So if an all statement was true, then you can go ahead and make that a subset. Let's see, a rectangle and a rhombus. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides, and a rectangle is a parallelogram with one 90-degree angle. So rhombus doesn't meet the 90-degree angle. So I'm going to say right here that these are intersecting. So we're going to draw this rectangle and then a rhombus. Now it can be our blue parallelogram in our pattern blocks, for example. So now we need to think about a parallelogram that has a 90-degree angle, but it also has all equal sides. And I think the middle here is going to be a square. The intersection is a square. When I go back to the hierarchy, let's see the rhombus and the rectangle. See how they come together as a square. Square fits both a rhombus and a rectangle definition. That's what makes it the intersection. And I think you can see some others on the hierarchy as well. Don't be fooled with the kite kind of floating up high. You can still make the kite in the parallelogram come down to an intersection of a rhombus. So use both your definitions and the hierarchy from the e-text to complete activity 9.10.